where you think the cyber risk is compared to the other industries like manufacturing, retail, or bank?
Probably this is the biggest industry where there is a risk of cyber security or cyber attacks.
What is your core critical thing which you are looking into, that this is something I need to be safeguarded, and what is the biggest vulnerability you consider?
So cybersecurity incident which involve a complete cargo ship to be redirected to another location.
Creating your team, the whole ecosystem for these worst case scenarios, what you are using as best practices, or
Most important thing is about the cyber risk quantification, that what kind of a risk the organization which will be having.
what will be your expectations from a student, that how they should be learning and making themselves ready for the industry like yours, and maybe if they want to work with you, what
We have actually curated some kind of a training for my team members, which is basically making them aware about the innovation which is happening in AI, the innovation which is happening in robotics.
Hello everyone, welcome to the GB show. Today I'm going to talk about something which we have never spoken in past. We have talked about the cyber risk related to the different industry, BFSI, manufacturing, retail, e-commerce. Now if you look into all these, there's an industry which is the backbone of all these industries to operate in digital environment. Either it's pharma, either it's bank, manufacturing, or any organization. Without supply chain, these can't go further. And which industry supports the supply chain? That is the logistic industry. Fleet management, warehouse management, maintaining the confidence of customer without delay or disruption. Also, managing the regulated industries well. So, to talk on this particular topic, I have today with me Amit Ghodekar. He is global CISO of Aramex, and he has around 25 years of experience mainly in the regulated industry. And we will talk to him about the cyber risk related to logistic industries. Let's deep dive into the conversation. Hi Amit, welcome to the GB show.
Hi, thank you Gaurav for having me on the GB show.
Great, and I think I'm going to have a great experience. You have around 25 years of experience in the industry. As I just introduced you, I'm looking forward to have a lot of insights from you today. But for my audience to start with, I will just like to know, in the logistic industry, what all happens, okay, what role it plays to support the overall digital ecosystem for different industries. My audience is all yours.
Thank you Gaurav for having me in the GB show. And as you correctly said that logistic industry is the backbone for all the industries. When I'm talking about all the industry, you talk about banking, you talk about pharmaceutical, you talk about the normal B2C customers delivery, or for that matter even the defense or the government entities and all those things. So logistic industry plays a very important role in the supply chain ecosystem. Most importantly is that the kind of transformations which we are seeing in the digital ecosystem nowadays, like initially when we used to talk about logistic industry or supply chain, it was all about delivery of the goods and the services within a stipulated time of say 1 month or 15 days or 1 week or so and so forth. But now the consumers demand have increased so much that we are now talking about 15-minute delivery or 10-minute delivery or 1 day international delivery in 1 day. So all those things are only happening because of the logistic industry and the supply chain industry. And the real transformation which is happening right now is it in the logistic industry, because what happening is that the consumers are the eventual beneficiaries, and they are the one who are looking out for faster services, faster deliveries, and greater ecosystem from their expectation point of view. And majority of the consumers which are looking out for this kind of transformation, that is coming directly and hitting the logistic industry. And that's where we are playing a very big role for delivering to the customers expectations. And over there, if you see, unlike the other industries, we are having a huge backbone of various permutations and combination of the services, right from the freight management, cargo management, express deliveries, or overseas shipping, or for that matter the last mile delivery, and so on and so forth. So these are the some of the things which are completely interconnected with various digital ecosystems, and eventually these are the main fundamental pillars which are actually transforming not only the specific organizations or the products and services, but they are actually the backbone of the country's growth stories. Like if you go to any larger country, you will see their supply chain and the logistic industry is booming over there.
Yeah.
And that is basically the backbone of a huge transformation.
Exactly, and I think as you name some of the industry like defense and government agencies as well, and you said like the 15 minutes, 10-minute delivery. That is what we are seeing in with this, and with that whole ecosystem requires a lot of digital, backbone as well. So I think logistic industry, if we talk about today, they are using apps, they are using sensors, IT, OT, lot of things. Where you think the cyber risk is compared to the other industries like manufacturing, retail, or bank?
This is a great question actually. I mean, like I have served my entire career in banking and financial services, and whenever I used to like when I was in banking and financial services, I always used to think that probably this is the biggest industry where there is a risk of cyber security or cyber attacks. But when I actually transformed to and changed to logistic industry, I realized that probably this is even bigger than the risk which we are having in cyber is bigger than the other industries, because we are directly consumer facing, number one. Number two is that the real transformation or the engineering marvel what we are saying, that is happening in our industry. Like for example, our industry is specifically working a lot on engineering. If you go to banking and financial services, the majority of the cybersecurity risk are on the transaction and safeguarding the interest which is actually on the data of the consumers. Whereas in our industry, the biggest risk is actually physical plus digital risk. When I say physical plus digital risk, it means that our industry is basically having a lot of engineering stuffs which is going on. For example, cargo management. We have a lot of huge cargoes which we have to ship from one nation to another nation, or within the particular nation we are shipping the cargoes, and these cargoes are completely automated. There are very less manual interventions are there, and it is completely digital. So
Right.
if you talk about the RFIDs or satellite communications, or for that matter the automated transportation of this particular cargoes, even in the warehouses also you will see that the physical robots are present which are actually collecting the shipment from one place to another place and putting in back to the trucks, or taking the shipments from the trucks and putting it to the right place in the warehouse. And there are actual physical robots. So these are engineering marvels. When we talk about the last mile delivery, there are autonomous vehicles which are used for doing the last mile delivery. Or many of the countries now, if you can see in Middle East or in a lot of European countries or in US, you will see a lot of delivery is happening using drones. Now these are the physical drones from where the delivery is happening.
Wow.
So this is actually a engineering. So if you go to any other industry, probably the interest for safeguarding is consumers, the data, and the transaction. Whereas our industry is having a dual sword. We are actually safeguarding not only about the consumer data, then the transactions and all those things, but we also have to look out the physical security, the OT side of it or the IoT side of it. And that is where our role is very bigger compared to any other industry. It is equal role of, like if you go to a Tesla. Now Tesla, we see that it's a very beautiful car. It's very indigenous or very automated car. But the security in the Tesla car is it's a different level altogether. That you will not see in any of the products which is there in the banking and financial services, or for that matter any other services, because it's a engineering. So you have to think like an engineer, that how you are going to put a right security control which can actually safeguard the interest of that product as well as the services which you are offering to your consumers.
Wow. So, frankly, when I was about to start this podcast, I was not thinking that I'm going to get that content. Like, we are talking about AI, autonomous vehicle, robots, drones, and everything. Means, frankly, anyone who is looking into logistic industry and that is not put in our mind that okay, this is all is happening, right? So, IT is there, OT is there, IoT is there. Where you think is the big vulnerability which exists and as a CISO of an organization at a who is managing large scale, this logistics at a large scale with all the things which you have mentioned about. What is your core critical thing which you are looking into that this is something I need to be safeguarded, and what is the biggest vulnerability you consider?
From the security point of view and the vulnerability point of view, we are equally, matlab, we are equally attack prone like the other industries on the application side, on the services platforms and the supply chain products and so on and so forth. But our threat vector is totally different in the other industries. Over the period of time, you must have seen a lot of security incident, and those are different incidents. Like for example, shipment change or a cargo redirect. You will not hear this kind of use cases. Yeah. So cybersecurity incident which involve a complete cargo ship to be redirected to another location or have been taken to another location. So this kind of security challenges are totally different. Like for example, in a banking and financial services, or for that matter any other industry, what can happen with the transaction is direct payout of your funds to some another account. But over in our industry, like for example, let's take an example of cargo redirect. If a threat actor is now able to penetrate your system and he is able to completely take out the cargo and redirect it to another location or another country, what you will do? You don't have anything. And this kind of incident have happened. And these kind of incidents are not only happen because of a bad threat actor, but it is also happened because of nation state actors and so on and so forth. So the complexity of the cyber attack is totally different than the other industries. So for us, when we are looking out for the complexity of the cyber attacks and the security issues and challenges which we are having, we don't have to look out only for the vulnerabilities or the security issues in the product. We have to look out the security across all the ecosystem which we are having, right from the applications, right from the platforms, right from the warehouses which we are having, or right where the route of the shipments. Like for example, we also have to look at that whether the route from X location to Y location for delivery is secure or not. If there is any kind of intrusion can happen, or if it can it can be rerouted to some another locations and so on and so forth. So the complexity of the security is absolutely different, and it is huge, number one. Number two is that the most important part is that the visibility of the security is the biggest challenge for us. Because in other industries, we only have to look at the 10, 15 or 20 points where probably the security can be bypassed. That is not the case for us. We have to look at horizontally, we have to look at vertically, and we have to also look at specifically to various countries, that what kind of a risk is there in that particular country from cyber point of view, which kind of a bad actors or threat actors are operating, how they can actually penetrate our system, which kind of a systems can be penetrated, and how we can actually safeguard. So the complexity is huge. So, and that's where probably a concept like unified security comes into a play, where we have to look at all the aspect of security, not only vulnerabilities. Vulnerability is only one part of our overall security ecosystem.
Okay, fair enough. And I think as you are talking about the cargo reroute and the one of the biggest case we have or all have seen about the Mercs where the cargoes were stopped in between and the biggest ransomware attack which happened. How then you and you are preparing your team, the whole ecosystem for these worst case scenarios? What you are using as best practices or backup plans?
So it's see, our industry is evolving over the period of time. So and probably our industry was the first industry probably which has undergone a massive cyber attacks, unlike the other industries. And the cyber attacks which has happened in our industries are something which has actually had a catastrophic impact, not only on the organization but on overall in the country or the ecosystem as well. And the most important thing is that there are a lot of lesson which has learned over the period of time because of those incidents which has happened over the period of time. So for us, as I said, that we don't have to look at one particular aspect of security. So for us, it's a unified security. So what we do is that we do a main most important thing is about the cyber risk quantification. That how what kind of a risk the organization which will be having, and because of what threat actor or what kind of a threat impact of that particular threat actor, and how we can actually safeguard the interest. That is number one. Number two is that we have a very unified approach for dealing with the cyber security risk. So when I'm talking about unified, security stuff, that means that whatever we are doing in security, that is applicable to everywhere. I mean, like it is not applicable to one particular country because we are having a sizable operation across the globe. So we look at the cybersecurity risk across the globe for various locations. We have a very unified approach, whether it is our cyber command center or our cyber labs or our forensic capabilities. So our industry has actually undergone major cyber attacks, and these are the cyber attacks which are very very known cyber attacks, and probably this is the industry which has like the basic major cyber attacks has been started from this industry. So we have witnessed those, and those are massive. And because of those cyber attacks, we have learned a lot. Like overall, the industry ecosystem have learned a lot because of those cyber attacks, and uh, basically all the organizations which are operating in this particular sector, they have created their own set of framework standards and procedures to deal with this kind of a cyber attacks. And we are not different than the other industries. So our preparedness for any kind of a cyber attacks or cyber incidents are always very very high. So we have taken a very unified approach for dealing with this kind of a cyber incidents, or our cyber resilience, I can say. When I say about the unified approach, it is applicable for everything, right from safeguarding our applications, safeguarding our supply chain, safeguarding our last mile delivery, and so on and so forth. So when we are dealing with cyber resilience, we have a very simple and straightforward process that whatever is applicable in one country, that is applicable to the other country. So it is uniform. So it will not see that we have something X practice in one country and there is a Y practice in another country. No, it's not like that. So we have very unified approach. So when it comes to security operations, when it comes to cyber forensics or cyber labs and all those things, all the initiatives which we have taken, so it is very very unified. One most important thing what we are dealing and doing is a cyber threat exposure management, which is one of the major aspect of dealing the cyber security for us. When I say about cyber threat exposure management, it means that all the applications, all the infrastructure, all the OT devices, all the IoT devices, everything is under the CTEM part. So we have round the clock monitoring of the exposures because of this particular infrastructure, applications, and so on and so forth. And whatever is coming into the CTM, that is the first priority for us to fix, remediate, and look out for. The second part, which comes from our cybersecurity resilience point of view, is about the security operation center itself. So our security operation center is not only dealing with the alerts or events which is only coming from the application, but it is also having a lot of insights from our OT devices, our warehouses, and so on and so forth. For example, I'm just giving an example: pharmaceutical industry, wherein you required to do a shipment of medicines or some kind of a pharmaceutical equipment that goes into a truck, and where there is a temperature minimum temperature maintenance requirement is there, that the truck will require say 20 degrees of temperature or 18 degrees temperature. Now that shipment happens in that particular temperature only. Now how we will monitor? So we have a lot of sensors which are actually monitoring those, and we collect that particular telemetry data, and that is ingested into our real-time security operation. So we also have to look out for that. Another example is about the custom clearance. You will see most of the locations for any logistic organization, they have custom clearance. From one particular country to another particular country, there is a custom clearance which happens in the warehouse location itself. So the most important thing is that, for example, in the custom clearance, if there is any kind of like whether it is kind of a very devices which is carrying a LEDs kind of a stuffs, or IEDs, explosive devices, or if you can have some kind of uh, bad kind of warehouse things or shippings which is coming, so those are detected automatically into the custom clearances, right? So this kind of a data is also ingested into the security ops, and we have a very real time monitoring that not only about the digital security, but physical security elements like these are having any kind of intrusion in our systems, or it can create some kind of a problem to us, so that monitoring is there. So we have a very unified approach for managing the risk which is coming from cyber, and there are a lot of things which we are doing and we are evolving.
Okay, awesome. And I think a lot of things you have mentioned, which are non-IT equipment. We are talking about even sensors, RFID scanners, satellite trackers. You mentioned about temperature sensors are also there, and anything, even scanner, the logistic things are there. Where you have ever any use cases you will like to share where you think that these non-IT, the generic IT equipments which we have, the computers or the data or something, these became more critical and has created more risk compared to the normal IT computers and data or stuff.
So it's a great question actually, and honestly speaking, I think we started our conversation on the transformation and engineering,
Yes.
and in this particular industry, there is a lot of engineering is happening. I was talking about the physical robots which are there in the warehouses. Now these are actual robots. So if you go in any of the largest logistic player in the world, they have actual physical robot which are sitting in the warehouse, and they are actually replace the work which the human used to do. So they are actually taking the shipment from one particular location in the warehouse, putting back into the truck, then they are collecting the shipment from the truck and putting back into the warehouse. They are seeing that the shipment, for example, if it is a pharmaceutical related shipment and it requires a 18-degree temperature, so they are putting that particular shipment exactly in the warehouse location where 18-degree temperature is maintained. For example, some shipments require 35-degree temperature or 40-degree temperature, so they are actually putting. Now the risk of this particular physical robots which is there in the warehouse is a huge risk for us, right? So we have different use cases to check the security of the robots. Like for example, there are use cases which are built to check whether these robots are actually working in a very secure manner, number one. Number two is that whether there is any actual you know penetration can happen with this particular robots. So if we talked about man in the middle in the web applications, right? So
Yeah.
whether there is any kind of a man in the middle can happen with the robots. We have seen a lot of use cases or cases in the Western world where the actual robots have gone out of the hand. Means they are misbehaving, they are doing something different, they are fighting with the humans, they are doing the tasks which are not given to them, and these all are mechanical issues as well as security issues. And the same use cases we also have to deal with this kind of robots as well. So this is something totally different. We are talking about the last mile delivery using autonomous vehicles or drones. Now it's it's look very fascinating, right? Drones, we things that we have seen a lot of recent wars where drone had played a huge role, right?
Yeah.
Now it think we when we think about drone, it is very fascinating that delivery using drone, but the security, what about the security? So there is a different security angle to it, right? And those security use cases, if you talk about any security practicing organization in the world right now, they will not give you a use case which can secure your drones or secure your robots or secure your indigenous vehicles or last mile delivery vehicles. These are something which is homegrown, so we have to learn ourselves that what is the business objective of this particular device which we are bringing in, how this is going to play a role in the overall ecosystem, and what kind of a security issues are going to happen because of this particular device. Now using those all aspect, we have to secure that particular device which is a custom. So we have to build our own custom security elements, like we have to create our own security mods, we have to create our own security DLLs, or we have to create own security product itself for securing that particular device. So it's very different, very challenging, but it is very new thing to learn unlearn and implement something. And it's very it will evolve over the period of time, because this particular concept has come in last 3-4 years, and this is just started adoption in the industry. So when we are talking about AI and robotics and all those things, these are actually present in this particular industry, and we are evolving. So the only thing, what is the best thing what we can do is that, we have to learn the ecosystem, and we have to grow that particular ecosystem, and that's how we are dealing with it.
So how difficult for you it has been to a shift from the industry to this, because I think banking and finance, when we talk about, they are more regulated industries, and they have books to follow. But here in this industry, when you say every time there is a new engineering which is happening and comes with a different risk, because you started using AI, then you thought, okay, let's go for autonomous vehicle, then you talk about let's use drones. And because one of the risk which I was you're talking about, drones, sorry, robots putting the things here, I can simply say, if some hackers actually manipulate even the scanner, so that 18-degree temperature stuff is going to the 40 degree, or more sensitive things are putting into the non-sensitive compartments, that can easily happen. Though, is there any regulations, or how difficult for you from banking and finance to coming up this kind of environment where it requires lot of upskilling, lot of reading emerging technologies, and no regulations? I don't know means if there are any, but yeah, I will love to know more about that.
No, it's not like that actually. We are in fact more highly regulated than the banking and financial or any other industry, because we are eventually the suppliers of for those industries. For example, we are shipping the credit cards for the banking industry, right? So for us, all the banking and financial services regulation for shipment of the credit card belongs to us. So we required to have the PCI certification, or we required to undergo the ISO certification, and so on and so forth. Then when we are talking about pharmaceutical industry comes under the HIPAA regulations, and because we are the suppliers for them, automatically that particular law is applicable to us.
Okay.
In addition to the industry specific regulations, we also have our own regulations as well, because like for example, if you go to Australia, ACSCA has defined certain regulation for the logistic industry. If you go to US, there are certain regulations which are related to specifically to logistic and supply chain industry. Similarly, in European countries as well, there are a lot of regulations which are related to the supply chain and logistic industry. In addition to that, we also have to comply with the GDPRs and the DPDP Act and so on and so forth, the country specific regulations. So it's absolutely not like that we are not regulated. In fact, we are more regulated, because if there is something goes wrong with us, and if that is something related to a banking customer of us, probably we are exposed like nothing. So we are highly regulated, and we have a lot of regulatory requirements specifically from that particular industry as well as our own industry. And the first question which you asked me about, shifting from banking and financial services to this industry. So as I said, that from regulatory point of view, there is no change in the lifestyle or the working, but the main challenge has come from the engineering part, because this is something which I have never worked in banking and financial services. When I used to work, it was more about basically taking care about the risk which is associated with the transactions, or the the data of the consumers, or the data which is actually transferred from one particular organization to another organization. Those were the challenging. It was more about consumer facing security requirement. Now in this particular industry, it is not only that particular security requirement, but over and above to that, we also have to look at the physical security and the OT security and the engineering security. So these are a different wider aspects which I am dealing with, and I'm enjoying.
Okay, great. So, what is the major difference you have seen overall? Like, when you were talking about the management, and in banking and finance, we generally talk about RBI rules and say that, okay, this is the mandate which we have to do. But when you actually shifted to the more engineering and technology based organization, and when you are talking to the management, if you have seen any kind of differences, or you find that, okay, that industry itself is more groomed, or for further steps need to go, because we have seen most businesses are interested in getting the business done, and then security comes as a afterthought. But now what I know, banking has been matured. But what about the industry which we are in currently? So you face the same challenges, and what is the boardroom environment overall?
See, honestly speaking, our industry, as I said earlier, also that our industry has undergone a massive cybersecurity incidents over the period of time, and the industry has learned over the period of time that how to safeguard the interest of the cybersecurity risk, uh, and that has helped us as a security professional because they have learned their lessons is that what kind of a challenges will be there if we don't have a security control in place, but unlike the regulated industry where we are very bookish on implementing certain control, this industry is more about a self resilience, and this industry is more about how we can actually proactively safeguard the interest which is because of the cybersecurity risk. As I said that the initiatives which we are taking or the industry is taking specifically on the engineering side and all those things, those are something not there in any regulation. So over there we have to be very very proactive, and we have to define the quantum of the cybersecurity risk by ourselves. And it is not an easy task. It is very very difficult and challenging task to quantify the risk. However, most of the logistic players in the world right now, they are adopting a self resilience. And when I say about self resilience is that they themselves are making sure that whatever is the best security practices they required to do, they are doing. And they're investing heavily in security. Most important is that. So they are investing in heavily in security, and they are making sure that whatever are the things which they are bringing into the market, those are absolutely secure. And we are not different than them. We are also doing the same route. We are also investing in security. We are investing in human capital. We are also doing a lot of risk quantification and looking at the risk which is coming. And similar, like the business is growing huge, right? So the business is looking out for the different channel to expand the business. And at the same time the businesses also want that from the customer lens, how they can actually make security as a priority for the business which is happening. So we are getting the benefit of it. So that's why it is not that difficult actually for us to convince the management to bring the right security controls. In fact, most of the logistic industry, the management is behind the cybersecurity professional, that what best or what different you can do actually to safeguard the interest of the organization, and which is good actually. When you are in the other industries, probably you have to take the help of the regulation. We are not that like that actually, honestly speaking. So we don't require to take the help of any regulatory requirement and to go to the management and to show that this is
These are
why we require this, because this is written in this. We are saying that this is the risk for the organization and this can be the impact of that particular risk. And most of the time basis on the risk quantification, we are getting supported by the management.
fair enough. And Amit, I have seen from because we are talking about your experience and the things, the learning which you are getting. I know you also like to update new young students as well. You have been mentoring a few of them. But in the college, if we go today, the students are not aware of these high tech roles which require a security. So they are either majorly working towards, okay, I will do CH or hacking stuff, or maybe they look more into banking side and learn about documentation, security plus, or those kind of certification. But let's say if my students who are listening to you right now, so how you will tell them that how they should prepare for this kind of role, like if they need to join you, because this seems fascinating, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm just will be working with the technology, or like robots, drones, AI. That is what everyone wants to work in, and then you are working in not just implementing that but securing those kind of technologies. So what will be your expectations from a student, that how they should be learning and making themselves ready for the industry like yours, and maybe if they want to work with you, what you expect from them?
It's a great question actually. Honestly speaking, I was talking about human capital
Yeah.
in cybersecurity, right? So my team specifically, last 1 year, my majority of the time has gone actually building that human capital, because the areas where I have dealt in the past, we have worked a lot on the applications, network, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. But we have not worked on this OT, IoT, or the robotics or the AI and the drones and all those things. So over the period of time, what we have done is that we have actually curated some kind of a training for my team members, which is basically making them aware about the innovation which is happening in AI, the innovation which is happening in robotics, or the innovation which is happening in the delivery ecosystems, and so on and so forth. And we have created our own use cases, we have created our strategy, we have created our own roadmaps on how to deal with it, which are the right solution to bring in, which are the right solution to implement. Now this is very very dynamic, actually very very dynamic for any youngster who wanted to come into this field. First, let's take an example of robotics itself. So he have to understand what is robotics all about, right? First he have to understand what is robotics or what is drone is all about. Then only he will be able to understand what can be the security lapses or what can be the security challenges into that. And this is not a one day task to like for example in application, we have a mobile banking application or a web application. It is easy for any pen tester to do a pen testing of that particular application, but when if I will give a drone to him and I will say do a pen testing, probably he will not be able to do it because it's a totally different thing. Or if we can say this is a robot, you have to do a pen testing or you have to do a security testing of this, he will not be able to do. So the youngsters who wanted to come to this, and trust me, this is the future. I am telling you, at this point of time in 2025, probably next 2 years, we are talking about AI. If you go to, and I'm talking about always banking and financial service, the limited work which will be there in the other industries on AI will be only on the data massaging or giving the services. But the actual engineering will happen into manufacturing, automobiles, logistics, or you go to any industry where actual engineering is there. Over there will be a huge role of robotics, AI, automation, and so on and so forth. And all the people who are in cybersecurity over the period of next 2 to 3 years, they have to switch from the traditional security to the next generation security, which is basically in this AI, robotics, automation, and innovation, and all those things. So the best part for the youngsters who are actually going to come into the security, they have to right now they have to start learning about AI. They have to right now start learning about the robotics and the innovation which is happening in this particular industry. Once they learn this, then the road will be very easier for them to come into the security domain of this particular industry.
Oh, wow. So I think students need to go through a lot. Now the cybersecurity is not as simple as it's required, right? So I think I was not frankly aware that logistic industry is so critical today. And with your information which I'm getting, the supply chain attacks which are increasing and how your industry is going through all this and managing this well. So how you think, specifically when we talk about nation state actors and all those things, they target the critical infrastructure. So will logistic industry will also be soon taking place in the critical infrastructure, and how you think from that perspective, from the different borders, different countries, what's your take on that?
So we are already a critical industry actually, or we are already part of critical infrastructure. You must have seen the recent attack which was happened on Russia from Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
So it was basically what? It was
The oil refinery one.
Yes.
Okay.
It was completely a nation state kind of attack, right? So the supply chain system was, compromised. The drones were, flight from that particular supply chain, which actually went into Russia, and then they attacked the various, centers in Russia, including the oil refineries and some nuclear capability centers and all those things. But it was mainly about the supply chain and with the help of logistic, right? So the trucks which were actually doing the shipments and all those things, those were compromised, and the attack happened. And there are a lot of examples of such kind of happen in the industry. Some of them came to surface, some of them were kept hidden. They never came to the public eye. But we are very very critical industry because we are dealing everything right from the critical shipments of the defense or military, or we are doing the shipments of the pharmaceutical industry, medical equipments, the medicines, the banking industry, you name it, and then we are doing the shipping, right? So we are always on the eyes of the threat actors, bad actors, and the nation state as well. And they always try to see the opportunity that how a logistic can be exploited, and they can do some kind of activities against the nation or against that particular organization. And the impact is very catastrophic, because it's not about the financial impact. See, one is that if a bank goes down, there is a financial impact, right? But if the logistic industry, one of the logistic player goes down, there is an impact directly on shipping. There is an impact on directly on the revenues. There is an impact on the ecosystem or the economy itself.
Economics.
So these kind of things have happened, and all the industries, specifically in the logistics, are aware about this risk. And that's what I was telling you, that it's not that difficult for us to convince about the investment in cybersecurity, or the resilience in cybersecurity, which is we are aware about it. And we are dealing this kind of example day in day out. So that is how this industry is. But it's very interesting industry actually to deal with, honestly speaking, and to work with as well, because your dimension about cybersecurity changes 360-degree, because you are learning every day something new.
Exactly. I'm feeling like, go back and, do some work. Let me know if any consulting engagement is there. I will like to learn to, I'm okay to be your assistant for free. Yeah, right. Means it's fascinating, means because I have been worked with manufacturing industry, and but the things which you're talking about today from the logistics perspective is, going crazy. And one thing, because you mentioned that, of course, it's a critical infrastructure, lot of sensitive stuff and security things which we are expecting, but customer expect a lot of transparency and visibility as well. How you manage the balance that, okay, there's a one side transparency and visibility, on the other side security and privacy. So how you're balancing the both the things?
So for us, cybersecurity is something which is coming from the consumer's lens. With like, we always think that what our consumer will think, that when he will come to know that his data has got breached, or there is something gone wrong with his data which is given to us. So we always think cybersecurity from the consumer angle. Number one. Second is about the privacy, as you correctly said. These are the two most important thing for us. And whatever controls which we are building in our ecosystem, those are around the consumer lens. Now, as we were talking our earlier conversation about the delivery, the consumers are expecting a faster delivery, but that is one of it. They are also looking out for secure deliveries. We have seen a lot of, and if you see all the scams, recent scams which has come in last 6-7 months or 1 year, those are related to logistics. You are getting a call, you have seen the digital arrest scams. What is the digital arrest scam? The guy get a call, he said he come to know that his Aadhaar card number or PAN card number or his data, which is probably leaked from one of the logistic player. And he's there is some shipment in, there is some kind of explosive material is there, all those things, and those digital arrest scams have happened, right? So these, how to actually protect the consumer from this kind of a scams or fraud which is happening, that is one part of it. Second is that how we can actually do a faster and reliable delivery, at the same time secure delivery. So this is another lens to it. So all the controls which we are trying to implement in our ecosystems are based on, one is about the customer experience, second is about the customer expectation from security, and third is about our whole overall physical and OT security. So these are some of the things which are driving force behind the security programs which we are having in place.
Fair enough. And seems like a lot of stressful job you have, Amit, right? And though I'm fascinated to join this industry, but for you specifically, how you burst your stress, and maybe like to know about your hobbies as a person, because I have seen a lot of posts on Insta and stuff that you do a lot of cycling, a lot of meditation, yoga, and things like. Tell me more about you, your hobbies, and how you actually managing that with your lot of stressful work.
Yeah, it's actually a very important thing, and not only for me, but all the people who are actually working in cybersecurity industry to have some kind of a hobbies or some kind of a different programs for themselves in the life, to reduce the overall stress. I'm doing a lot of things actually, and I encourage my team member also to do that, and the people who are around me to do that. One thing, I'm a passionate hiker. So If you must have seen last over the period of last 3-4 years, I did a lot of hiking. I did my Everest base camp last year,
Oh,
and it was life changing experience for me. And I do a lot of small hikings wherever possible, and that is something a real stress buster for me, because that also gives a motivation to you to do something different, something new. Because when I see mountain, it is kind of it's basically a meditation for me. So whenever I go to the mountain, I see that I am in a different world altogether, and I do different things. That is one thing. I try to do a lot of cycling, and that this is the hobby which I have developed last 1.5 years back. I never knew about that cycling is so much of a good stress buster, which I came to know recently, and I'm pursuing that hobby. It's a good thing for me to do cycling. So I'm doing a lot of cycling, which is a good like it's a good exercise as well as it's a good sort of meditation as well. Apart from that, I'm reading a lot of books, and this is my a hobby which I have pursued since my childhood. Books are the best friends for you, whenever you are in any kind of a situation. And I try to read various kind of books, not only about fiction or historical. I also read a lot of mythological books. I like them. So it's whenever I carry my book. When I was in Everest base camp, I carried a couple of books, and I finished those books in those 14-15 days
wow.
time. So whenever I tried at least try to read 4-5 pages every day before sleep. I try to read 4-5 pages. It gives you a different aspect of life. You come to know about what different dimension of the life, and you learn something. So that is how I try to reduce the stress which is coming to me, and it's happening good.
Fair enough. I think, Amit, overall, great conversation and great insights from you. My last segment, which we already, put it for all my guests, where I put you directly in front of my audience, and that may get you a goodie bag as well. Okay, so here, like I give you the two options. One, let's say that I know there's a lot of good audience of CXOs who are watching this show of mine. I'll give you two options. One, as you know, you are a CISO of a logistic company, and you are doing logistics for pharma, manufacturing, banking, different companies. So for those CISOs, what are your expectations from them? Okay, from when you taking care of the security, or for those CISOs, what the expectation they should have from a CISO of a logistic company. You can choose one of them, okay, and you say that what you want to answer. So either you want to give your expectations from them, or you want to answer that what they should expect from you. So audience is all yours.
This is a very tricky question for the goodie bag. And I'm really struggling that which one to choose. But I think I'll choose the first one. That
Okay.
what I can do for them actually. This is for the audience. I see from the logistic CISOs and who are in the supply chain. One thing I can definitely do, and probably which will be different than the other ones, and probably which can create some impact, is about I'll definitely try to create a very secure ecosystem for at least the industry where I am actually working in, number one. And second is that I will definitely try to do something in the engineering security. So when I'm saying about the engineering security, because this is the area which is probably least watched, probably over there a lot of innovation is happening, a lot of changes are happening, and I know that this is going to transform. So probably over the period of time, when whatever time I will get to work in this particular industry, I will definitely try to create some models or frameworks or some kind of a security system which can be used by the industry friends and the CISOs, and maybe it can be also useful for the other industries as well to look at, and at least choose some of the things which they can implement in their industries. I think this definitely can be a contribution from my side, and I hope that that can be useful for everyone.
Sure, and I will love to have all your contribution going through the CXO Junction platform. Okay, that is something I will love to see.
I will definitely.
Thank you, Amit. And I think great conversation. Yes, we will like to give you a goodie bag, and thanks for being on the GB show.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, and great conversation, great insights. And I will see you next week. Till then, take care, be safe. Bye bye.